Okay, today, friends, we're going to learn about post-processing our dubstep growls. Now, there's so many different ways to do this. I'm just going to show you the way that I've been doing it lately. Okay, so let's just say, I've got some growls done, and now I'm ready to chuck them into my mix and my song, and I want to edit them. Okay. Number one, if you've made a growl and you're trying to post-process it to make it sound better, then you've already fucked up. You should go back and change the growl and start again. You should, from the get-go, your growl should be what you want and it should sound good already. That's the first thing. It's like I always say, you can't polish a shit. Like, there's no point getting something that's bad and then using EQ and compression to make it sound better, because it's not going to work. You're going to make it sound worse. So number one, make sure you're happy with your growl and make sure it already sounds good. If the growl already sounds good in serum, you're not going to need much post-processing at all. And you guys will actually be surprised. In the last few songs I've made, the post-processing I literally only have like two things, like one EQ and distortion. That's it. Now again, that's how I like to do things, and my songs have been sounding okay. Someone's gonna go, oh, you can't do that, you have to have... I bet you someone's gonna try to tell me how to post-process their growl, and this is gonna be them. Let's say you have a growl in the mixer, 43. I bet you someone's gonna comment and try to tell me how to do things, and this is how their growls look. Don't do that, okay? That is not needed. That is ridiculous, and when I see someone do that, it is crazy. Like, I find that crazy. I used to do this because when I was first started making music, I was so obsessed with trying to get my growls to sound like everyone else, and so obsessed with trying to get the growls to sound better, I didn't realize that I was making shit growls to start with, and that's why they sounded shit. So fuck. Guys, please don't do this. Right? I'm all for everyone doing their own thing. But if you're doing this, stop. There's no need. Yeah, there's no need. And by this point, your growl is that probably just compressed and fucked, like, because there's so much signal going through it that it probably doesn't even sound like a growl anymore. Like, it just, like, yeah, just leave it. Alright, that's not needed. Okay, so let's get rid of these. Does anyone know how to delete these, like, just straight away? I only know how to scroll and move. I don't know how to delete just like heaps of them. If anyone does know that, please comment below. That will be a great help. That'll be a great help. Yeah, because I've been doing it like this and it takes a long time and it's annoying and I hate it. So yeah. Alright, yeah, so let's just say, right, you've got your first growl. Nothing too crazy, right? Just something, just to say it's an example, something random. Typically what you could do is, first things first, you make sure you're not clipping. So let's just say that's your mix. You got your growls that are going through your bus, whatever. Okay. First thing first, guys, it's very low in volume. Now, you could boost the volume, but you always want to leave headroom for your mix. That's a different tutorial I'll cover in the future. So you want to have headroom. 2 dB for me is always good. My growls are rarely above 2 dB because then when you master, shit gets really loud. Very rarely on certain growls I'll push it maybe to 1.5, and even then I feel like it's a bit, it's not enough. But let's just say we're at 1.6, right, whatever. First thing we're going to do is distortion, and FL Studio has a very nice distortion already. The Fruity Blood Overdrive. This is a very nice distortion, and typically, guys, all you really have to do here is just fuck around with the preamp. So you can even just boost this a little bit. Look at that, we're still at 1.6 dB, but the volume went from down here. So let's have a look at the volume without it. Down here, very low in volume, to up here. And did you notice we're not losing much of a difference in the growl at all? So that's why I love this distortion. It's such a nice subtle distortion, and it sounds nice. It doesn't change the sound too much. See, a popular one for this was this one, the good old Camera Crusher. I used to use this first on my growls chain for a long time, when I was bad at making music. Now, I'm not trying to say that like this is a great plugin. A lot of big producers still use this. I just stopped liking it because it drastically changes your sound unless you are adjusting, like the mix, like the master mix knob and the distortion knobs and stuff like that. Now, to me, I find that pretty silly. If I'm trying to do a subtle thing, like if I want to do subtle things, I can just use the overdrive. I don't want to come into here and make literally everything, like change everything for a subtle sound. If I wanted a drastic change, then I would whack on the Camel Crusher. If you guys are trying to, if you understand what I'm trying to say. So I've just been sticking with the overdrive, and it works fine. So then we have, so then perfect. So let's just say we'll whack this in here. Okay, good. Now, what would I typically do next? Now I would typically add an EQ. Okay, you have two choices here. You can either add an EQ, depending on what you want to do next or how the growl sounds. You can either go on EQ, or I'll go a Multiband Compressor. Now this is a bit of a change to the sound, but then you must make some adjustments. Now, like I said, multiband compression is a separate video that I can explain along with compression. So actually, yeah, I'll leave this out because I don't think any of you would know what multiband compression actually is. Okay, I'll do those tomorrow. Alright, so I'll leave this out for now. So I'll just go EQ2. Not an EQ1, EQ2. Now here you do your typical cut out the anything below 100 Hz for your sub. And then here, so like I said, like I said in the video previously, don't EQ with your eyes, with your ears. So what can you hear? There's a bit of an annoying ring in the top end, so we'll try to scoop that out without changing the noise too much. Okay, there we go. Now, most of the time, typically I like to either add another EQ, and I just do some very subtle changes that don't involve the bottom end. So I've already scooped out here on the first one, anything below for the sub. So I don't need to come in here with a second one. I don't need to do that again, because then by then your sound's way too thin. So this one I'll do, boosting, really. So it's either you can cut with one and then boost with another. So we've got rid of like a bit of a weird sound up here, so then we can even add like a bit of some frequency somewhere else. Maybe in the mid-range, maybe. There you go. Now, believe it or not, most of the time I would leave it at that. you know, if I was happy with the sound, if I was actually using that sound in a song, I would leave it. Lately I've been leaving it like this, and then what you would do is I would go a wave shaper, because at the moment we're clipping. See there, we're going over 0 dB, so a wave shaper, you don't do anything to it and it acts like a limiter. Look at that, nice clean, and we're peaking towards, you know, distortion. So that's a nice sound right there. Now, before the wave shaper, you could also even, if you have it, OTT. Now, same thing. This is a multiband compressor. I will explain in a separate video what this does. But initially, compression, all it is just volume control. And I found that extremely hard to believe when my teacher first told me that when I first started music school. I didn't believe it. I thought compression was this magical thing that did something to a sound. But all compression is this, it controls the volume. And yeah, so it's nothing special at all. So next time you hear someone trying to tell you, oh, compress this to do this and this, like, they're talking shit and they don't know what compression is. Anyone who tries to argue with me, you will get roasted. Because yeah, I did a whole class of about 2 hours on just compression. And yeah, all it is just your volume. It's just because we can't control our volumes quick enough as a computer, so compression does that for us. But like I said, a separate video. So you can then, you know, multiband compress your highs, your lows, or your mids. And if you're clipping again, you just go the wave shaper, or you just whack the wave shaper at the end. Oh, I took it off, that's why. So wave shaper at the end of your chain. That's it. There you go. You know, and typically, it would be the same thing for most thing, guys. I'll try to show you a different chain just so the video is not so boring and you actually have a few options of things you can do. So something else you could do is, so I've got a fast bass here. So you can already hear the volume difference between the first one and the second one. So now in this one, typically you always want to do the volume boost first. So you'd always either have your your overdrive. A fruity squeeze might work. See, this is a lot more drastic distortion. Yeah, nah, see, I like to go with the, what else do we have? Let's squeeze, you could do it with that, but see, that's again a more of a drastic distortion. Yeah, we'll stick with the overdrive. So we'll go overdrive first. Up the preamp. And obviously it's about while you mix. That's why I like to mix while I make the music, because then I'd mix the first growl, obviously with the drums, and then the background, the offbeat or the ARP or whatever. I mix them together, and then I mix everything to my first growl, because you don't want obviously shit getting loud. And I'm still not good at this, but it's what you want to go for. You want everything to be the same volume, but you want it to sound really loud. So I would typically then play the first growl. So this is too soft, so too loud. Now it's too loud. About there. Okay. Now, so for this fast bass, you know, see, I can't add compressors because I have to explain what they are first. So I'll do them at a separate time. I'll sometimes do a stereo enhancer. I mean, is it not the enhancer? Sorry, the shaper. Now all this does really is just, it makes your sound stereo. So you just splits it into 2 stereo signals. Typically you don't even have to do anything, but this just it widens the sound. Most of you probably won't be able to really hear it or understand why you would do that, but that's again a separate video. But I sometimes do that, and then, you know, I would go in EQ for this, obviously. Get rid of this. There's something really annoying I can hear in this sound too. And, you know, a bit of reverb. Majority of the time I'll do a reverb bus. So I figured out how to do a reverb bus too. So you just go, used to say this is your reverb, you make a channel with reverb in it, right? And you put the wet all the way up, the dry all the way down, and then you just go, oops, you just go right click, you go dock to the right, and there you have it. You have your two fucking things. But yeah, so then what I'll do, so I don't whacken up reverb plugin on the growl itself. I'll click on the growl, send it into the bus. Another thing you could do is typically use a limiter and use, sorry guys, not the limiter, the Maximus, because the Maximus then also works as a limiter to stop you from clipping, but you can also then, so sort of like in EQ, you can then do some small changes to each individual frequency range. So you got obviously your low, your mid, and your high, and then you can do changes within those. So, and that same thing works as a type of compression. You just sort of, you can squish down the sound a little bit. See, once again, bringing out the lows. So if you cut out the lows on an EQ, you wouldn't be doing this, because yeah, you're just then contradicting yourself. So someone who's really good at this is Sankus. He uses a Maximus a lot, well, he used to anyway. I don't know if he does it anymore. And we're not clipping this, so then there you go. And obviously I wouldn't be using these sounds, like I just did these for the video as an example. I'm not going to go the third sound because you sort of by now understand what's going on. So, you know, one more time, just so you know, just quickly. So, one more time. Right, typically do things in this list. So we'll go, so volume down, right, to your mix. You want to add your volume with a distortion. EQ to, you got to make the choice if you're going to get rid of the low end or if you can keep the low end. Like I've explained in another video, that you don't have to do this all the time, because then your whole drop sounds too like cardboard. It's just really thin, so you don't have to do that all the time. You can even boost it and just leave the sub out. See, that sounds fucking cool. So EQ to shape your sound, not to make it better. Shape, not better. Please remember that. Okay. Compression, but I'll explain. I should have done a video on compression first, but yeah, whatever. You get the point. If you know what compression is, you can compress. You can multiband compress. That would be typically what you could do next. And then, you know, reverb or a delay, you can add effects that are going to make the sound cool. So not better, but cool. So like if you want to do a drop that's got a growl's got a delay or a reverb or a chorus or a phaser, you'd do that. And then you would go wave shaper to stop clipping. Okay, that's your order. And there you should have the, you know, your starting point anyway for your growls. So you guys understand. Like I said, that's my way of doing things. I like to keep things simple, very simple, because it's, you don't need 10 slots on a growl, guys. You really don't. Please don't take offense if you do that. You can do whatever you want, but this is just my way. And the more you guys produce, you guys are going to start to realize that you don't need 10 things in your slots for a fucking growl. But I'll leave you guys to learn that on your own, as musical's a self journey. So I hope this helps you at least either get started on your post processing, or at least to help you realize that you don't need to go crazy. But the number one important rule is make this sound good from the start, and you won't have any problems. So sweet, guys. I'll see you soon.